Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Ticking Together. As always, the goal of this channel is to provide education about and to raise awareness as to what it's like living with Tourette syndrome. In today's video, we are going to talk about mental tics, things that people don't usually talk about regarding Tourette syndrome. And I wanted to talk about my top 10 mental tics. But before we get into that, let's back it up. I got rice. If you guys are new here, my name is Carly, I'm 24 years old, and I was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome at the age of 12. Tourette's is a neurological disorder which causes me to make involuntary movements and sounds called tics. But on top of these involuntary movements and sounds, there are also a subcategory of tics, which are involuntary thoughts. And these fall into the category of mental tics. Not a lot of people talk about mental tics because a lot of people don't know they're a thing, but they also are quite similar to intrusive thoughts in other neurological disorders as well as mental illnesses. So for example, people with obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, deal with intrusive thoughts a lot, but mental tics are a little bit different because I deal with both. Mental tics are pretty much a repetitive word, phrase, song, thought, sound in your head that just repeat with no real meaning attached to them. They just happen and it's like you can't get it out of your head. However, it's not the same as getting a song stuck in your head or like an earworm. It's literally to the point where it's debilitating because you can't function, it's just stuck in your head. Whereas intrusive thoughts are preceded by an anxious thought. So an intrusive thought is an unwanted thought, but it can also be a very complex thought, and it can be something that causes very much anxiety in the individual who is thinking them, even though none of these thoughts are thoughts we want to be thinking, intrusive thoughts nor mental tics. So I'm going to talk about my top 10 mental tics because I have so many and they're annoying. They're really hard to live with because especially at nighttime when I'm silent and it's silence around me is when mental tics, Stormy, is when mental tics really come out, where mental tics take over my brain per se. So let's get into the top 10. So my number one weird mental tic is rutabaga. The word rutabaga. I have had this mental tic for years, where in my brain, in the form of a mental tic, this is actually paliskepsy. I'll get into the skepsy phenomenon in another video, but there are different classifications for mental tics in the form of skepsy tics. And so skepsy is the suffix of a word, which means to think. And so you know how there's coprolalia, which is the swearing vocal tic? There is also coproskepsy, which is the swearing mental tic. And we'll get into that later on in this video. So rutabaga is in the form of paliskepsy because it's my own thought I've had once before, but I'm repeating my own thought in the form of just this rutabaga word on repeat. At rice. And I don't have rutabaga as a vocal tic, it is strictly a mental tic, where my brain will just be like rutabaga, 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 constantly at nighttime, or throughout the day, wherever I am, I can have mental tics. But this one is interesting because with paliskepsy, which is again, a thought you've once had before being repeated as your own tic in the form of a thought, with this, I often have to change the way it sounds in my head. And what I mean by this is I will change the stress of the word. Sometimes I'll think it in a different accent. I will count the syllables and rearrange the syllables and do things with this word in my head while it is on repeat. Rutabaga is really annoying, but it's not one of my weirdest ones. It's one of the ones that is just kind of like, meh. Let's get into number 2. Mental tic number 2 is actually an echoskepsy tic. And if you guys are familiar with my other videos, you would know that echolalia is the repetition of another person's words, sounds, or phrases through a vocalization. Echoskepsy is the same kind of phenomenon, except it's in your head. It's in the form of a thought. So say I've heard something before, it can repeat in my head in the form of a thought that just doesn't get out of my head. I got rice. And this one is the word Remitly. Now I've heard of this word before because it is a website. It's a money transferring website where you can send money abroad. I get advertisements for it all the time on my phone. My dad has used it before. And Remitly, it's just Remitly, 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 over and over and over again. And again, I will often change the stresses of the word, like Remitly or Remitly, or I'll change the tune if it's a song, or I'll change the accent like Remitly in my head. I'll change it up because it just repeats. And it's really frustrating, but it's in the form of someone else's word that I've heard before. I've heard my dad mention the word Remitly, and as soon as I heard it, boop, it's stuck in my head, and now I have it as a mental tic, which has repeated for years. Ugh. The next mental tic, which is actually one of my probably most embarrassing ones, is another one of echoskepsy, which is again someone else's word becoming my thought. And these are a few select names of my dad's coworkers. He'll talk about how his day at work was, and he'll mention a few names of people that he works with. And a few of these names, 3 or 4, for years have stuck in my head. And I'm not gonna say them out of respect for those people, obviously. But there are a few names that I pick up on that is just, boop, in my head forever. And at nighttime, a lot of the time, I will pair a motor tic with these mental tics. So if I'm thinking someone's name, I will often trace their name in my hand, or I will do shapes with the name of with the amount of syllables in their name. I will do different things with these names. And it's not just my dad's coworkers. A lot of names will stand out to me, and I will have them as tics, mental tics specifically. Some of these tics, though, have transformed into vocal tics. I've never said them on camera because that would be disrespectful to them, but I do have these tics as vocal tics as well as mental tics, which is important to know because tics can interchange. Mental tics can be vocal tics can be mental tics, and vice versa. The next mental tic I have is the song Come On Eileen. I also have this as a vocal tic, and this is again echoskepsy, which is the repetition of another thing I've heard in my head. And it's not the same as getting the song stuck in my head because I will change different mental tics to the tune of Come On Eileen, as well as Come On Eileen. I have a few very specific song tune I get stuck in my head for mental tics, and I can always tell the difference between this is a tic and this is just a song stuck in my head. There's a very clear distinction in my brain, at least. But Come On Eileen, as well as Baby by Justin Bieber, the original like da na 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 na, that is always part of my mental tics. It is like always there. The next mental tic that I have is Jean, and this is also a vocal tic that I have, so it's shared. The mental tic Jean. It's like the French form of the word John, but it's Jean. And it's just in my head. I will catch myself saying it out loud a lot, but it's always in my head, in the back of my head, just Jean. And the thing with mental tics is it's just on repeat. It doesn't stop. It's just a loop of the same word, and it gets really frustrating really fast. The next mental tic that I have is also turned into a vocal tic, and this is definitely paliskepsy in the form of I have said this before and it is stuck. My fiance Will can attest to this. The mental tic is Je t'aime mes amis bonbons. It's French. I know it means I love you, my friends. I don't know what bonbon means, but I say this to Will and whoever all the time. I'll just be like, Je t'aime mes amis bonbons. But it's always in my head. Je t'aime mes amis bonbons, je t'aime mes amis bonbons. And I'll make like a beat out of it in my head. It's so frustrating. And again, I have said this once like ironically, and it is stuck as a mental tic as well as a vocal tic, and it sucks. And pairing with this one, another mental tic that I have is je ne sais pas, which is I don't know in French. Again, I don't speak French. I learned these in school when I was really little. Je ne sais pas is a mental tic that I have constantly. I have a lot of like random French phrases that I've picked up through echolalia from my elementary school days, like je ne sais pas, comment t'appelles-tu, all sorts of stuff like that. Those will be stuck in my head as mental tics, which is also kind of strange because I don't speak French. Number 8 is a tic we know and love in the form of a mental tic, which is also a lovely vocal tic that I have. I got rice. You'll notice my shirt, the I got rice merch that I have, that if you want to get your own, you can check out at tickingtogether.com. But I got rice is always in my head too. I got rice, I got rice, I got rice. And again, they repeat on a loop. And again, I will sometimes stress different syllables. I will say it in a different accent or a different like pitch in my brain. It's very hard to like wrap your head around. But this one again is paliskepsy, because I said it once and you guys know I say it all the time and it's stuck in my head. The next mental tic I have is a form of coproskepsy, which is the involuntary mental tic in the form of swearing or bad, socially unacceptable things. So I have the F word as a mental tic where I will just repeat the F word in my head, and a lot of the time I will pair it with a motor tic of tracing the F word with my fingers or my toes, or even my abdomen. I will move my whole body in the form of the letters that it spells as a tic. And again, this is copperskepsy because it's inappropriate, it's vulgar, it's a swear word. I don't often say this one, but it is a mental tic. Tic number 9 is also a tic that I have picked up. It is a copperskepsy tic as well, and I've picked it up as a form of echolalia. Echolalia into copperskepsy. So Bailyn Dupree is a TikToker with Tourette's, and she has the tic F men. The word F, the F word, and then men. And I have graciously picked this up as my own mental tic, where in my brain it'll just be F men, F men. And it's in her kind of tone, which is weird because it's not my own thought, but I've picked it up through Lalia and Skepsy. Ugh. And I've never had this one as a vocal tic, thankfully, but it is a very prominent mental tic in the form of copperskepsy through echolalia. It's very strange. And number 10, the last weird mental tic I have is the number 7. Just 7. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, over and over again. Especially, I got rice at nighttime. I can't control it. It's the number 7, sometimes 20. You guys will know I have the 20 in a British accent. 20, like that, 20. And 7 is more of a mental tic, but I also have it as a vocal tic. And there you have it. Those are my top 10 weirdest mental tics with explanations, hopefully giving you guys some insight on what a mental tic is and why I have them. Again, they are quite different from intrusive thoughts, but if you guys want to hear more about that, I can make a video in the future with more education instead of just kind of my experiences with it. If you guys like this video, Stormy, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below saying hi, telling me what you'd like to see in future videos, or letting me know if you have mental tics and how you deal with them. Because it's worse than getting a song stuck in your head for a neurotypical person. It is worse, if you can imagine that. Please subscribe to my channel and ring that notification bell to stay tuned to all of my content. I post about Tourette Syndrome awareness as well as some of my life stories of living with tics for over 10 years now. I was diagnosed at 12, I am now 24. It's been a doozy of a time. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, we are learning together, we're laughing together, and we're ticking together. Bye!